Tonight, you're going to open your to-do list. You're going to feel that familiar dread, and you're going to wait for the motivation to show up before you start. It's not coming. Successful people don't rely on motivation. They never did. What you've been chasing your whole life isn't a switch that flips on when you're ready. It's a myth. The real reason you can't get started is far stranger than laziness. Your brain was never built to want hard things. It was built to conserve energy. Wasted effort once meant wasted calories, and wasted calories meant death. Somewhere in your wiring, a system exists whose only job is to stop you from acting without an obvious payoff. That system still runs today. It doesn't know the difference between chasing a mammoth and finishing a report. It only asks one question: is this worth it right now? Motivation itself is not a cause. It's a chemical event, dopamine specifically. Neuroscientist Dr. Andrew Huberman of Stanford has studied this closely. His research shows dopamine isn't released when you get the reward, it's released in anticipation of it, a hit of energy before you've done anything, just from imagining the outcome. Which means motivation was never meant to start the work. It was meant to be a preview, a trailer for a movie you haven't made yet. So what happens when the trailer doesn't play? You wait. You scroll. You tell yourself tomorrow when you feel more ready. But readiness isn't a feeling that arrives on schedule. It's manufactured by something else entirely. Psychologist Dr. B.J. Fogg at Stanford's Behavior Design Lab found something almost embarrassingly simple. Behavior needs 3 things at once: motivation, ability, and a trigger. Ability is the one you control. Shrink the task small enough, and the motivation requirement collapses towards 0. This is why just start isn't a cliché. It's a mechanism. One small action gives your brain new information. You're already in motion, and a body in motion generates its own momentum, chemically, not metaphorically. Think about the last time you dreaded something, then began, and found it wasn't so bad. That was your dopamine system rewarding progress instead of promise. There's a second piece to this. Psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi studied people at the edge of their skill, in a state he called flow. It only appears when the challenge nearly matches your ability. Too easy, boredom. Too hard, anxiety. Only the narrow channel between them produces motivation. So motivation isn't something you wait for. It's something you engineer by shrinking the task until it fits your current skill. Your ancestors would understand this instantly, even without a word for dopamine. They didn't motivate themselves to hunt. Hunger did that. They didn't motivate themselves to build shelter. Cold did that. Necessity did the emotional labor motivation now fails to do because your environment no longer forces action. It invites avoidance instead. You live in the first era of human history where survival doesn't require you to move. Food arrives without effort. Danger is rare. The system built to push you into action now has nothing left to push against. This isn't a flaw in you. It's a mismatch between a brain built for scarcity and a life built on abundance. So what actually works? Not hype. Structure. Dr. Fogg points to habit stacking, attaching a small new behavior to one you already do automatically. Brush your teeth, then do 10 push-ups. Pour your coffee, then open the document. The trigger already exists. You're just borrowing it. Discipline, seen this way, isn't a trait you're born with. It's infrastructure, built once, so you never again depend on a chemical event that was only ever meant to be a preview. Elite performers rarely talk about motivation. Athletes, surgeons, writers who've shipped 100 projects talk about systems instead. They feel resistance constantly. They've simply stopped waiting for it to disappear before they act. Maybe you've called yourself lazy. Maybe you've decided you lack the drive other people have. But drive was never the missing ingredient. Friction was. Too much distance between deciding and doing. Too much room for the ancient brain to whisper, "Not now." Reduce the friction, and the whispering stops mattering. What would change if you stopped asking how to get motivated and asked how to make this easier to start. The first question sends you chasing a feeling that was never guaranteed. The second sends you toward what you can actually engineer. Somewhere, right now, someone is starting the hard thing without feeling ready. Not because they found willpower you don't have, but because they made the first step so small, dread had nothing left to grab onto. Tonight, you're going to open your to-do list again. This time you know the truth. The feeling was never going to come first. The action was, and the real motivation was only ever going to show up after.